Hello, welcome to SpeakEasy Online. It's February 2022, and it's a bit of a stormy night, but we're here. The technology's working so far, so let's hope it all goes all right. Um, we've got a couple of notices. There will be another poetry symposium happening at Telly House on Saturday, the 26th of March. Andy Hopkins says it's going to be a slightly different format from previous events, and there'll be more info coming soon. But if people would like to put that date of Saturday, the 26th of March, in the diary, yeah, it should be a really good event. And I think this is the third third at Telling House, maybe the fourth. And yeah, oh, we got Roz joining in. Hello,
Sorry.
Roz.
Hi.
How you doing? You all right?
Yeah. Internet's a bit iffy when the wind blows. I might just disappear.
And well, hopefully you'll still be with us for the evening. If you're wanting to read, that would be lovely.
Okay.
Uh, and if you're okay to follow Jeanette towards the end,
Okay.
is that okay?
Oh, that's Jeanette.
Oh.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, as I said, the poetry symposium will be happening at Tully House on Saturday, the 26th of March, and should be a really good event. And as I say, Andy Hopkins will be posting more info on that soon. So that's a date for the diary. Um, and then yeah, this Sunday I posted a link on the Speakeasy Facebook group. I don't know if it's booked up now, but there's a little online poetry workshop I'm helping my friend Chuck Whitehead with for reforesting Scotland. And we did an event online. Hazel, you were there. Have you signed up again? Oh, good. I must have done something right. So yeah, that's five o'clock on Sunday afternoon, just for an hour or so. I think the places are limited to 10 or 11, or maybe 12 places or something. So I don't know if it's sold out, or I don't think there is a fee. But places might be booked up, but there might be still a couple of places. So it's worth checking out the link that is on the Facebook page. If anybody's interested, let me know. Yeah, yeah.
See, I think I had an email from Chuck to say that it is full, and if anybody is dropping out, if they can let him know so that he can offer the place to anybody else who wanted it. So I'm hoping I can make it and not
Okay,
block a place.
cool. Oh well, if someone drops out and you've got a spare hour on Sunday afternoon, it'd be worth getting in touch, see if you're up for that. Okay. Yeah, really sadly, our friend Tony Hendry passed away, and it was just after our last meeting online. And there's been so many tributes to Tony, who was a great supporter of Speakeasy, Poets Out Loud, Folk Night, and lots of other bits and pieces. And I'd just like to pay tribute to Tony, if that's all right. And then if other people want to share tributes to Tony, that would be lovely. And yeah, the service was yesterday in Carlisle, and it was quite moving. But it was a nice send off, and a number of familiar faces from Speakeasy were able to join the family. And yeah, it was a fitting event. So yeah, this is just a little tribute to Tony, and yeah, Tony Hendry was a good man. He was very kind and supportive, and a brilliant poet. And the news of his passing has come as a shock to many who knew him, and he'll be much missed. He grew up in Cockermouth, and he worked in the civil service in London for many years, and retired to Carlisle in 2010. And he joined local writing groups, poetry groups, including Speakeasy, which was hosted by Nick Pemberton, and then later myself. As you probably all know, Tony had a lifelong stammer, which he was determined would not stop him sharing his words, and it was always inspiring to see and hear him share his poems. And when Tony sang, his stammer disappeared, which was really quite magical. And when he sang, he was really fluent. And luckily, you know, we have several recordings of him from these sessions and other events that he did with us over the years. So we have a record of his wonderful poems. He loved folk music and supported the local folk music scene and festivals, including Music on the Mar. In 2019, he approached Coldew Press to produce a collection of his poetry, and it was great to collaborate with him, his cousin Hunt Emerson, who did the illustrations, and Susan Cartwright-Smith to produce Fresh Air. And it's a wonderful collection, and he was really thrilled with it. And he was also thrilled with his book launch at Cakes and Ale Cafe in Carlisle, and also with the readings that Becca Roberts and I did of his work alongside the man himself. He loved Cumbria, the Lake District, the landscape, the myths, the nature, and he'd completed all the Wainwrights, and this was often reflected in the really beautiful poems which he wrote. And I'm going to read one that I read at his book launch, and it's a sort of a favourite of mine, and it's Rose Hip Syrup, and it goes like this. Today, I pick a rose hip and flip it into the Coldew. It races on rough brown water after the first storm of autumn. It isn't ripe enough. 50 years ago, we had to wait for the glowing red of half-term. No green or orange tints allowed. A national collection scheme. Cash for rose hips made into rose hip syrup for pregnant mums at Del Rosa's factory in Wallsend. So, kids with canvas buckets on the wild scratching banks of another swift Cumbrian river, all gloveless, droplets of blood the colour of hawthorn berries. Hips and haws, never far apart. The rate per pound was dismal, but the real rewards were high. Gathering hips wasn't like cubs, where we dib-dib-dobbed on cue and gathered badges to avoid the hot red cheeks of failure. No Arcala on Derwent banks, no mums and dads, no teachers. Red blood was ours to expend, river water ours to tumble into. Hips for us, haws for thrushes, charms of red masked goldfinches on thistleheads, the cobalt zip of kingfishers as we picnicked. On the flats across the river, loping hares stopped to look. In the slow gold fall of the year, I sensed a sort of oneness that we mostly lose in time. Wordsworth said it better. He was ours. Born by Derwent, a mile from where we picked. Today, I pick another rosehip and flip it into the Coldew. So there you are. That's Rosehip Syrup by Tony Hendry. Thank you. Right. Hazel, do you have something for us?
I do. Quite difficult to follow that one, to be honest. This one's kind of very rough. I guess just from what you were saying about Tony, I suppose for me the word that I always associate with him is just that courage, that, you know, he was determined not to stand back from stepping up, if you like. Anyway, this one is called Community. This notion that we all need community. Once I would have disputed that, Some of us feel like changelings from birth, misfits, marginalised and radicalised, though not like jihadis, by conventions which engulf dreams of better things, by relationships that make romance toxic, by dissatisfactions and frustrated potentials. Today I'm reminded how I thrilled to a wave of acknowledgement from a leather-clad biker, how once travelling on two wheels gave me access to a sense of belonging. A Beatlemania fan, the four-wheeled VW variety, Fred Dibner fan, here communities bisect. A Venn diagram positions him as belonging to both. All fans are their own community. Folk music fans, twitchers, train spotters, Stobart spotters, 2CV and Diane lovers, rally drivers, speeders, lawbreakers, peacekeepers and campaigners, long distance walkers, pilgrims and spiritual seekers, and poets and fans of poetry. We too are our own community. Does need quite a lot of work, but
That was lovely. I remember I had a conversation with Nick Pemberton once about SpeakEasy, and I said, it's really a community, isn't it, Nick? And he went, no, it's not a community. I said, what is it then, Nick? He said, it's just a group of people who get together and do stuff together. I was like, what, like a community? And he went, yeah.
I like that.
Oh dear. There you go. Mark, what have you got for us?
I was really inspired by Tony. I've not done many speakeasies or poets out loud, and I was very, very nervous the first time that I came on, and then I saw the determination from Tony, and an incredible trooper, and that's what stands out for me. Yeah. Right, this particular piece, when we were all let out of our cages in shortly after March last year, I started to frequent an old climbing haunt just to go up there and walk and do a bit of bouldering around. And the place is called Head End Quarry. If anyone knows it, it's just outside of Wigton, above the small village of Sandal. And the place is south-facing, so it traps the sun all day, and it's beautiful up there. You get a fantastic vista, north, south, east, and west, all the fells. And I was sat there, and I hadn't noticed the sun had come round. It started to illuminate the crag, and this is what happened. It's called Limestone Centurion. Warming spring sunshine illuminates rock shadow art amongst the limestone seams. Shielded by his shield, focused, guarding the quarry entrance, stone centurion, vine staff on hand, guide of the seasonal change. So what I could see within the rock face was a Roman soldier within the makeup of the shadow, and I think Hazel sent some poems through to you, Phil, and I think one of them contained the photograph that sort of supported it. And it's I'm still amazed at how things prompt you to start to write and put things together, and that was one particular case. But yeah, thanks for letting me read that. Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing with us such a magical moment. Yeah, and yeah, it's great you've been able to you got a picture of it as well. Yeah, that's fantastic. Lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Peter, what have you got for us?
Well, this is quite an old one. It came out in 2002, in fact. But seeing the news today about the casualties among the trees, and they were saying how trees being blown down makes others more vulnerable. It reminded me of this one. It also mentioned Spix's macaw, which you'll have heard about in the cartoon Rio, but it was formerly one of the rarest birds in the world. It was down to one in the wild. And the last survivor couldn't recognise, when they tried to introduce it to a captive one, it didn't recognise it. It couldn't even recognise its own species. Anyway, happily, since then, there were a lot of them in collections in aviaries across the world, and they have managed to get a captive breeding program going, and they're getting them released back into the wild now. So there is kind of a happy ending to this one. So this is down the river. The unowned enclosure between the grounds of the closed down school and the mouth of the beck had been going to scrub, but in the foulest fortnight of the year that flung branches daily down the river, someone had managed to clear it, to suck the eye on to unfamiliar bareness, and the last night's snowfall rubbing salt in the wounds of the raw flailed earth. Then, birds on the brain as usual, and thinking, well, there's yet more cover gone, I noticed how things went with the storm. So what had been hidden among the brush and accumulation of untended years, the half trunks cracked and dry, and looking round further, saw new scars, one flung like a drawbridge across the beck, a crown lost that starlings once favoured. And where next year would the flycatchers go from the so many gaps I won't see mended for all the saplings in green plastic tubes? For trees need trees to hang together, or else separately become grist to the wind, landslide and soil creep. I thought of Brazil, logs hulking down rivers clotted with topsoil, birds searching for nest sites among stumps black as from the scorch of our whole century of war. Sterile, the parrots in northern collections that leave no more able to recognise its kind, the last Spix's macaw in the wild.
Wow, that's very powerful, that piece, Peter, and yeah, it's
Yeah, it just seemed to go with the weather and the trees at the moment and everything. So.
yeah, but yeah, we don't always think about if a tree comes down, the effect that it has with wildlife and nature and the birds, forced to find other places for nests and things. Yeah. Well, hopefully there won't be too much damage tonight.
Yeah, hoping so, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Kelly, have you got a poem for us?
Yep. I was trying to think of something to read in memory of Tony, and I've got a few possibilities, but as we've been talking about the idea of community and group, it seems relevant to read this one, which it came from a prompt in the writing hour that some of us did in January, from a poem by Alberto Rios, who's a Mexican-American poet. So here it's quite short. We are of a tribe, after Alberto Rios. We write words on paper, hoping they will find a way into others' hearts. We link arms through the internet. We speak the same language, whatever alphabet we use. On our arms, we have tattoos, love, death, family, time. We weave our words into blankets of poetry and wrap ourselves in the blankets to keep warm through the long, cold winter. That's it. I feel we've lost a member of our tribe, and it is so sad. He was a wonderful poet and a lovely man. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. I mean, I've heard quite a lot of lovely tributes from people who've reached out and said what a star Tony was. I mean, his poetry was absolutely magnificent. And then you add to that the stammer he had, but the fact that he really was an inspiration because of his, we said already, the determination to get up and share those words. Yeah, a real talent. And yeah, we're I think, you know, it's a real shock, and it's you know, bereft really, but it's you know, we were very lucky to have him and for him to share the words. And there was some really lovely imagery in there, by the way, Kelly. That weaving the words together as a blanket of poetry is a really lovely phrase. I like that very much. Yeah, that's a beautiful piece. Thank you for sharing it. Kevin, hello, Kevin.
Hi there. Am I on? Am I on?
We can hear you and we can see you. It's good to have you
great.
back. What have you got for us?
Quite new. I did it today. And it's called Some Say. More concrete roads, you see. More offices, ever higher. More coal, more petrol. Buckets and spades, cardboard boxes, all required, some say. Shrink wrapped, blister packs, batteries not provided. At the airport, families wait, handrails, moving stairs, sliding doors. Duty free, not for me. Worth the wait, some say. Florida, Sunshine State, seen it on TV. Booked a flight, cancelled twice, all the same to me. Highway 61, Louisiana to Minnesota. Live in a cabin, I told my friends. They just don't believe me. No way, some say. That's it. Hope you liked it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kevin. That's great. Good stuff. Okay, Val, what you got for us?
Well, this is the first time I've been on Zoom actually since the lockdown, so I thought I would read this one I wrote when we started Poets Out Loud again at the Kirk Gate. So, because I thought it just might be a bit appropriate. So it's called Meeting Up Again. So the lockdown finally ends. We're back here meeting up with friends. I've had my fill of isolation. Now I need some inspiration. Fellow poets, it's been a while. So make me laugh and make me smile. Make me angry, make me care. With the words you've come to share. Tell me stories of your life, your hopes and dreams, your joys, your strife. Or just talk about your cat and then we'll drink and have a chat. Not exactly poetry, but you get the drift.
Yeah, no, you captured the evenings rather well. That was beautiful. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, George, what have you got for us?
Thanks, Phil. I thought I'd read a bit from this. This is Waiting to Meet with the Deal, but I was actually thinking back. I wrote a piece at one stage, and it forms part of this, which I had a great uncle who had a terrible stammer, one of the worst that I had known. So this was trying to capture something of him. So the start, I'll start with a little bit before it, with round him crowd memories. But this is written about a drunk man in a bar, considering all the things in his life that have happened and what's going on round about. So this is round him crowd memories of people important to him, without headstone or eulogy, without statue or medal, a cemetery of forgotten crosses borne with dignity. The bar buzzes with inconsequences. Above floats the silent screen of this day's news headlines, subtitles stuttering. He hears Great Uncle Jack, his silences, the gaps, when Jack struggled, fighting for the word. The stammer was epic, stretched out, endless. When Great Aunt Peggy was there, it did not matter. When she entered the room, it was potassium dropped into water. A flare of light and laughter, 4'6" of effervescence. There were no silences around her. His uncle must have found it hard that day, stepped into an empty space with only echoes to fill the gaps. But behind the quietness and the pauses, eyes were alight, deep blue and shining. A big man who seemed like a rock, hewn Northumbrian stone, did not need words to tell you could trust him. He misses those silences. He misses the simple years when all was possible, when he wanted isolation, wanted a coo, twa goats and a dog. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George. It's a very moving piece. Thank you for sharing it. Okay, Jeanette, what have you got for us?
Some of you might have heard this already. Tony, I agree with what's been said already. And like you said, Mark, you know, you have to give us all the courage to get up there when we're feeling nervous as well. And I keep waiting for a little box for him to come on and a little message saying, hi, how are you doing? And I think we'll all look for that for a good while. I didn't know him for long, just a couple of years, but he was lovely. So this is my little tribute to Tony in the form of a sing-cane, if that's how you pronounce it. Gentle, a gentleman, sadly missed, fondly found, busy staying alive in fresh air.
Thank you, Jeanette. That's really lovely. Thank you. We've got a couple of minutes. Is that enough time for Roz?
I've got something really stupid I wrote this afternoon, which, to say the least, needs work, and it's probably just not appropriate after all the nice poems we've heard. So I think perhaps I'll pass. I'll wait till later. You want to sign out and in again?
Okay, well, we can sign out and sign back in, and then if you would like to kick off, then you're welcome to. But yeah,
I'll read it again and make a decision while you're turned off.
Okay, all right. I'll push the button there, and if we all sign back in, I'll see you in a second. But really lovely stuff so far, guys. Thank you so much.
Well, yeah, everybody's poems so lovely.
That was a very strong, very emotional piece that George had a lot of resonance, and yeah, thank you for sharing.
When I listened to Tony, I always in a way reminded him of my great uncle, and he was the only person with a stutter that I ever actually supplied words to. I was always taught that if someone had a stutter, you never ever said the word that they were trying to find. And he was my great uncle. And I remember one day I was going around, I was playing around in golf, and he was having a real struggle. And I was standing listening, and I suddenly thought, I know what you're trying to say. I'm just going to say it. And I said it to him, and he just looked at me and smiled. and carried on. And it was that sort of thing where I felt that there was a kind of sudden understanding of some kind. I mean, I was about 12, I think, at the time. I'm not sure what age he was. But when I look back, I think it must have been a nightmare for him, because my great aunt was this hugely bubbly personality. I mean, when she walked into a room, she just joked and laughed and buzzed with everybody. And I thought that the first time he had, because I know what it was like myself, the first time I went out without my wife, and what a huge gap I felt and how difficult I found it. And I thought for him, it must have been doubly difficult, because she'd always been there to fill in all his gaps for him. Anyway, but I hoped it was appropriate, because I was a wee bit wary about seeming to step into what was about Tony to some extent. But I felt it's about how wonderful, how strong in so many ways people with a stammer are. My brother had one for a while, and it takes a lot to overcome that and to be able to go out. I think Tony was an inspiration to everybody. I didn't know him well. There's a lot here who knew him a lot better than me. But yeah, anyway.
I thought it was beautifully observed, George. It was a wonderful poem. That bit about the epic silences that go on, that's kind of the hardest bit, isn't it? Yeah.
I think in a sort of unusual sort of way, I think it made people listen to Tony's words even more so, because you were hanging on every syllable, really.
Also wonderful that he had that sort of partnership with Becca, who he also enjoyed hearing you two read his stuff for him, I think. But it was great that he could also read his own. Somehow it worked, didn't it?
Well, the first time I met Tony, he was at the first Speakeasy in the Andalusian in Carlisle in October 2014. And I think John Chambers read his work for him on that occasion. And then John Laffram read a number of his pieces subsequently and at a number of events, and the Black History Month event and others. And then, yeah, there was a few people read his work on Tony's behalf over the years. But I think the relationship between Becca and Tony, and particularly the last couple of years here on Zoom and other events, I think Becca just got it so spot on, and I was saying this to her yesterday, she read it so beautifully and really, absolutely nailed every single piece. And yeah, it was a pretty special sort of dynamic there. Yeah. Hopefully Roz will appear, although she did say her internet was a bit
I can see her.
I can see you too.
You're there, yeah. Okay.
Well, I'm going to really lower the tone, and you'll see what inspired this, although it's not appropriate at all. It wasn't what I set out to write, but it is what I've written, so you can have it. And I do apologise. It's called The Late Ros Edwards. Maybe it's a curse, or perhaps it's just fate, but it seems I'm doomed to always be late, regardless of how much spare time I leave. Punctuality is quite impossible to achieve, because the car will break down, or rain, snow, or hail, cause the roads all to close. Is it my fault I fail to arrive when my plans fall foul of some twist? I'm simply unaccountable for those times I've missed. And on the subject of timeliness, I'm in the dark. I don't understand those people who cruelly remark she'll be late for her own funeral, that hopeless one, which I expect will be my epitaph after I've gone. And you can see how inappropriate it is and why I wrote it, but never mind.
Oh dear. Thank you, Roz.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
couldn't
I'm
hope for a
sorry.
better,
I'll
better
go
intro,
away
really.
now.
Was it Elizabeth Taylor who left instructions for her funeral procession to set off 10 minutes after the service had begun, so she could be late to her own funeral? Yeah,
Yeah,
as her mother was always
probably
telling
is.
her. Yeah. Thank you, Roz. Okay. I actually wrote this one. I read it last month just because Tony had told me he was ill a couple of weeks before he passed away, but I don't think he knew how seriously ill he was, and he made it sound as if he was just going to be taking a break from SpeakEasy for a while and would come back at some point. But there was a sort of, I was quite worried about him, and there was sort of a number of sort of words floating around in my head related to him, and I tried to read this last time, and I had to take 3 goes to get it started. I don't know if it was the emotion or weirdly the stammer got me. I don't know, but this is a variety of ways, and it's a song for Tony, really. And though it ain't always easy to speak, you stand up bravely to read out aloud. In sharing your words and your wisdom, you've become a firm favourite with this appreciative crowd. You've told us stories like of the Poplar Queen. Decided workshops aren't quite your style. You don't like it when they give a storm a name, but you'll always support the poets in and around Carlisle. You get to choose how to spend your everydays, living them out in a variety of ways. You maybe climb a mountain, treading in Wainwright's footprints, trundle around dry or rainy lakeland in search of finely brewed pints. Take care where your boots step as you watch plovers preening feathers. Take a tumble into gorse prickles as you brush by purple heathers. And you get to choose how to spend your everydays, living them out in a variety of ways. In search of myths and legends, following along a trail told in folk tales. A sense of wonder for Herne the Hunter, stories shared over cakes and ales. A distinctive voice connecting, at times cheeky and knowing. Such words, a breath of fresh air. It's your own song you're singing, and you get to choose how to spend your everydays, living them out in a variety of ways. And there you are. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hazel, do you have another one for us?
Unmute. Okay. I think definitely some lovely tributes to Tony, kind of ongoing. It really will reverberate for a long time, I think. I'm not sure where this one came from. It's very old, very short, probably needs work. It's called Writing. Sitting in this not silence, letting my pen loop across white space, dancing wild tarantellas over the empty page, letting go of expectation, forgetting potential audience. The fun is in the dancing, not the trace of its passing. That's it.
Oh, I like that one a lot. That was lovely. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think we always think, oh, we could do more work on these pieces, or and we and we can. But I think that was great.
Thank you.
A little gem.
Okay.
So follow that, Mark.
Thanks, Phil.
I know you can. I know you can, though.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's one of those things, isn't it? You look at a piece, and that happened tonight with the first one that I read. It's different from the copy that I sent you, and you start writing something down. You think, no, that's not right, and you switch things around, and it's amazing how it changes the form. I've learned so much. It's great. We're not quite at this stage yet within the bird calendar. This is starting to happen slowly. And anyway, you get the gist of it. So it's called Curlew Souls. Dawn chorus coaxes rising sun over the horizon. Held by a drawing pin, stationary skylark, cacophony of notes. No pause for breath. Lapwing, dive bomb the ground, playing clangers, sliding whistle. Mournful curlew, archer of the new moon. Reminder, the passage of souls. Thank you.
That was really lovely. Thank you very much, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great stuff. From one bird enthusiast to another. Peter, what have you got for us?
Right, I want to get everybody's opinion on this. Do you want a depressing new one or a more cheerful old one?
Oh, I don't know. The old ones are the best, but I mean, we might have another go after this. So you've got the opportunity to do both at some point.
Right. Anyway, mentioning curlews, saw 3 over the park the other morning, and that's absolutely ages since I've seen more than a single. Wow. They're getting very scarce. So this is from 2002, the last one I did, to 2022. And this is Houses in Slow Motion. Life shrank from the house across the street. At first unnoticed, its comings and goings fell away until you realised you were not seeing them as much as before. The morning clip of her heels for papers slows with the clipping of the widening garden. A pallid wave from the front room window replaces the familiar hello. Someone looks across alien landscapes of a world they once knew. A key safe appears, then a handrail on the steps, and women, it is mostly women, decant from small cars for lunch and tea visits, while in family saloons in between their children, grey-haired themselves now, bring in shopping, solicitously ease them up to the back seat for trips out and appointments with the doctor. Sometime after, you no longer see them. Then estate agents come visiting with clipboards to open the door to the emptied walls, the abandoned walking frame by the fireplace, kitchen cupboards and carpets crystallized out of brochures on now empty showroom floors, and the garage stacked with the furniture for safety banished by occupational health. Next up, sheltered housing and wardened flats, where past houses with key safes and furniture in skips, the ambulances flock to their roosts. Blue lights off, the crew stop to make notes. The satellites, shaken out of their orbits, fall earthwards, and on afternoons in winter, the wheelchairs cluster in care home conservatories, try to capture the last of the light.
Wow. Yeah, you captured that really well, Peter. Yeah.
Yeah, there's there's a fair bit of experience going into that from the last couple of years. My mum and father and my mother-in-law as well had just died last year, and that was a bit about the clip of the heels, because we could always hear her going past in the morning to clip clop to get to the paper shop, and that's now no more.
Well, I'm really sorry for your loss there, Peter, and that was that was a lovely piece, though. And I think we all can identify with people we know going through all that. Yeah, it's tough.
Right, thanks.
But thank you for sharing it. That's
Thank you.
Really lovely. Kelly.
I've got another short one. I'll have to disappear as usual at 8:30. But you have
to tell us what's on the menu. You have to tell us what's on the menu for your dinner.
It's falafel tonight.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is another one that just I felt I wanted to read for Tony. It comes from another prompt we had in the writing hour by Olive Senior, who is a wonderful West Indian poet, from her poem Gastropoda about snails. Take my chambered shell apart, after Olive Senior. Now it's empty, you can look inside, see the delicate spiral structure, wonder how it survived, avoided being stamped on or dropped from a great height. Maybe it was good at hiding between expectations, under hedges. Maybe the soft creature inside held up its walls.
Thank you very much, Kelly. You, realised a lot of beautiful imagery again in that piece. Thank you for sharing it. It's really good. Okay, Kevin.
I've got a problem because I normally read off the paper or the print from printing it. So half of it was printed, but our printer broke. So we got a new printer, but in the process I got another laptop. So I'm going to try and read this from the actual laptop that it was written on. It's called A Metaphor for Living. And so I'm going to be over here with it, hopefully. Tell me if you can't hear me. Metaphor for living. Back then, back in time, not when, he pointed to a star. In a cave, a brother holds a lamp and creates a new world from red and ochre. Hand dipped into pigment, pressed against stone, history in the making. A mother holds a hand on an infant's shoulder. A daughter stirs a pot. Bison, bears, gazelles roam the plains. Chanting fills the cave in celebration. Axe of flint cuts the gut, razor teeth, bone needles. Hack, stitch and sew warm hide. Winter needs fulfilling. Brother waves, sister stirs the pot. Dog looks, scratches and sleeps. Infant cries, silence, no echo. Sun rises on the burial day. Wooden spades dig into the firmament. Empty eyes look on. Astonishment, lips are sealed. One morning lament, Mother looks down. Brother looks down into the pit. In utterance passes from lips to lips. The strong man, bearskin clad, clutches the jawbone of an ass. Again, again the lament passes round. Archetypal, sinister and profound. Spiral grooves in spiral stones marks a place for mortal memory. Sunlight passes through a cleft. Time and again, repeating events in actions understood in signs of recognition. Winter and hunger gather together as one. Low sun pale reflects the anguish on faces, waiting, ever waiting. Silent signs conveying doubt that can be seen. Night skies pour out stars. Another stares through tears. The hollow log, so revered, so reverberated at sound, familiar, unique to this occasion. A repeating that's steady, joined by humming, as slowly the circle forms, tapping, tapping, tapping. Slowly turning, ever humming, ever tapping. To form a pattern for the stars. New circle of stones to embrace for all time. I think I'm going to have to end it there because something's gone a bit crazy. I'm hitting something badly. So that'll do for now, yeah? Sorry the shortened ending.
No worries.
But
Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
I did like the juxtaposition of sort of the dawn of time being read on a laptop. I like that. You should keep that as a performance piece.
Yeah, it's not finished really. It's work in progress.
That's good.
Yeah.
Again, some lovely imagery in there as well, Kevin. You know, the stars and the spirals and the red and ochre on the walls, and yeah, it's lovely. Yeah, really good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Val, do you have another one for us?
I've just got this one I read last week at Poets Out Loud. It was my attempt to write something romantic for Valentine's Day, a bit poetic, and it's called First Love Remembered. I thought I caught your breath on the wind, the shadow of your face filtered through the trees. A long-held memory from deep within whispered gently to me on the breeze. Stay with me, lay with me, always be mine. And I saw your reflection shine in the sun. My eyes were dazzled by the beauty of your smile. Buried emotions had once again begun, emotions not felt in such a long while. Stay with me, lay with me, always be mine. Fleeting memories of someone I once met, of love and of loss from adolescent days long ago. Emotions and feelings I'd rather forget, for the pain of your leaving will never go. Stay with me, lay with me, always be mine.
Thank you, Val. That's really lovely, that piece. I think you've succeeded with romantic poetry there. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay. George, do you have another for us?
Thanks, Phil. Yeah. Well, sticking with the romantic, I'm not sure if this is romantic poetry or not, but it was one that I thought I ought to write something for Valentine's Day. God knows why, but I thought I ought to write something for Valentine's Day. So at the moment, the title's just This Day. This day. In the long grey stream of unevents, sometimes a light flares heat and flame, the deep burn that scorches before it sears deeper, lasting into the very heart of dark, that place your devils know, those crevices of soul, and there is a melting, a rebirth, a change which hurts and heals when she smiles and touches you.
That was really lovely, George. Yeah, I think that counts as romantic poetry as well. Yeah, it's good. Thank you. Okay, Jeanetto.
Yeah, that was lovely, George. This one, I don't know, it's a 50-word story, but I maybe loosely call it a poem. I went to the Van Gogh, I don't know how to say it, Van Gogh, whatever, live on Sunday, and it was fantastic. But anyway, this is called Bipolar Skies. His window faced east, his head dipped south. It was just before sunrise, but night still slung his shoulders. He could still recall vibrant yellows and how they brightened blue, yet blue brought depth to the dark. He was a swaying silhouette of cypress, swirling hope in a clouded canvas.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've captured Van Gogh. Is it Van Gogh? You have to sound like you're about to spit a lot of phlegm out. I think that's the correct way to pronounce his name. Yeah, that was beautiful. You really conjured up the painting.
Sorry, on the name thing, Phil, I was listening to the programme about Van Gogh, and a member of his family was on, and he said Van Gogh. And I thought, oh, that's great. I now know how to pronounce it as Van Gogh. And then 2 seconds later, he said Van Gogh. And I thought, oh, God, I'm just completely gone. This is the guy who's in the family. And he's pronounced it 2 ways within 5 seconds.
They do that on purpose, George.
Thanks.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. All right, back to Roz. What you got for us, Roz?
I was just thinking I should have read my first love one, which is so unromantic, it's not true, but I haven't found it yet, so I'll have to have one for Monday. So I thought I'd do you the ode to Donald, Boris, or Nigel. With sleight of hand, the skilled magician turns opposing sides of the same position into right and wrong placed in opposition, then distorts truth by simple omission, and makes lies a fundamental condition by embedding them in a sacred tradition that supports a particular view. In addition, this will lend legitimacy to their mission and raise the deceiver above the suspicion that their main aim is personal ambition. And that's the first political one you've had tonight.
Thank you very much, Roz. Yes, you keep you keep doing the political stuff. It's good. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll go round again if that's okay. after Storm Desmond, a number of poets got together, and it was Nick Pemberton, Geraldine Green, and Anne Wilson produced this collection, Watershed, that a number of poets in Cumbria contributed to, and Tony was one of them, and he wrote this poem called Desmond, and it goes like this. Haynes, a West Indies opening batsman who piled on runs with Gordon Greenidge. Tutu, a churchman with a wondrous laugh who battled apartheid and intolerance. Decca, a Jamaican ska and reggae hero, writer of Israelites, died in Thornton Heath. Lynham, a consummate sports broadcaster, born ready mustachioed in County Clare. These, not the storm that rocked my city, are proper Desmonds. It was what it was, a set of isobars not looking for a name. Its cold physics collided with geography to fetch floods, dinghies, foul deposits, and roadside piles of spoilt endeavour. Sling storm names onto sodden sofas, for anthropomorphism is 16 letters of junk, and consider local Desmonds whose chafing mates in pubs and orifices will tag them evermore as scapegoats. Think of Desmonds routed by namesake and pregnant mums seeking other names. Think of such issues repeating like burps in future storms. Frank, Henry, Imogen, Phil, and other cozy names for the inhuman. Stop the storm names now. And that's Tony's poem, Desmond, about the 2015 Storm Desmond. And I don't know why he put Phil as one of the names of a possible storm. Let's not go there. Hazel, have you got another one for us?
I do have another one. I meant to say one of the things I was looking for before tonight was Tony gave me a copy of a poem that he wrote, which I think was called Saint Cecilia, which I had much admired, and he gave me a copy of it the next time I was at SpeakEasy, but I haven't managed to find it, so I'll have to continue looking for that. And the other thing I wanted to say was I loved Roz's thing on time. I can so relate to that. And I actually saw a picture of a clock with all the numbers falling down to the bottom and a thing across it going, whatever, I'm late already. And I just thought, I want that as a watch. Anyway, this one's a bit, well, I don't know. Somebody had said to me, the system is broken. So I called this Awakening. The system is broken. The lunatics have taken over the asylum. We voted them in, trees welcoming the axe because its handle is kin. Yet every 24 hours, the sunrise offers us a fresh, dew-washed day. The system is broken. We need medicine that fuses new discoveries with old wisdoms, old ways to combat consumerist living. The system is broken. The pandemic has fostered fear-driven diversions, activating anxiety-ridden imaginations when we need that superpower, creativity, for innovation, invention, reversing the damage and devastation we have wrought in our ignorance and greed. The system is broken, but monthly the full moon still rises, bringing connection to old and new stories, to shake us from the fog of delusion, remind us how to link the masculine and divine feminine in healing fusion. The systems are broken, but we can fix and transform them, work towards stabilizing our climate, no longer just warming, but radically heating. We're equivalent to frogs slowly boiling to oblivion. But we can find balance between virtual and brute reality, between our waste and consumption. Our commitment to activism should rival Greta's devotion. Her messianic message should be foregrounded, supported, celebrated, disseminated. The system is broken, but it's not too late to remake our infrastructures with clarity, hope, healing, and recognition of connecting and using the considerable power of the collective. Thank you.
That was wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm conscious, I think we've only got about a minute to go. So if I push the button and we sign back in, and then we'll hear from Mark. Is that okay?
Yes, certainly, yeah.
Fantastic. Okay.
Thank you.
We'll see you in a second. Good stuff. Really good.
Thank you.
Kind of magical for you to see those 3 curlews in the park there, Peter. You were mentioning about that before.
Well, it was only briefly. It was just a flyover, but no, I've not seen more than one for quite a while. I've seen more at the coast, obviously, but not not around this way.
Yeah.
No, just we seem to have lost so much of the bird life, you know, of the flocks of things that we used to see, like lapwing, etc., that seem to have faded. Even the starlings, the murmurations of starlings that you used to see, I don't see the same.
Yeah, and then there's this outbreak of avian flu as well that's causing a lot of trouble with numbers on the Solway. So I think it's all around the country, isn't it?
Yeah, the Solway seems to be getting it worst. I went up to Mersehead the other week, and there's still quite a few about, but they've been absolutely decimated.
That's really sad.
I wonder actually if the barnacles have maybe got a genetic predisposition. I think they seem to be suffering the most, because at the end of the Second World War, there's only 300 left, and then they've got the numbers up to 40,000. So maybe with going down to such a low number, they lost a bit of genetic variability, which has made them a bit led to a bit of weakness when the right virus hits at the right time.
Right, yeah, I hadn't realised the numbers had been as low as that. So yeah,
because they used to get shot in the war for eating the grass.
Yeah.
Which I don't think would be a great help to the war effort.
No. Oh dear. Well, there's no sign of Kevin, so we might just pick up with Mark, and we'll see how we get on. So back to you, Mark. What have you got for us this time?
It's another bird-inspired poem, and I pinched the book from Mary's book, Curlew Moon, which talks about the plight of the curlew and the research that she's done to actually try and combat that and bring people's awareness of all of the peat bog that's been lost in Ireland. The numbers have been decimated because there's nowhere to breed. So this is called Curlew Moon. New moon, black backdrop, peppered with a million suns. Storm clouds gather in the west, strobing sheet lightning illuminates northern mountains. Split-second flash captures the horizon as an X-ray. Silhouetted curlew heading inland to hunker down and roost. The mournful, haunting, melancholic cry of the storm bird. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, a beautiful poem. And
Thank you.
yeah, ties in with what we were saying about the curlews there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we are with you now, Peter. Actually, what have you got for us?
Oh well, I'll just do that more cheerful older one then. If you see paintings of the Last Judgment, so the demons are all bouncing about, and I did notice one where they had green wings with black spots on them, and this was kind of one of the triggers for this one here, which is no rest for the wicked. Bound to the thrones of their dark mansions, the demons who slipped to hell with Satan, one might think, would be sunk with heads in claws, in a state of such recrimination and grief as befitted their bottomless perdition. The pictures, though, tell a different tale, as some way off to the left of God in every canvas of the judgment, they leap about with grim abandon, on wings like rose leaves struck by black spot, stirring the cauldrons, stoking the fires, prodding the lost souls' rumps with pitchforks, and to all appearance having the time of their several million lives. Now from here, it naturally seems unfair that the tempted be worse off than the tempters, though the lower hierarchy doubtless works its own logic out of the food chain, of weakness being misery, where power is vested with the greatest wills, and the fittest get all the free lunches. Either that, or the damned get the evenings off, while the demons belabour each other.
Very good, very good. And no mention of parties or work events, even.
I wouldn't dream of such a thing.
No. Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Okay. Val, we're with you. Have you got another one for us?
I'll just read this one then. It's just one of those poems that you just write, not exactly think about, just write them, Yeah, it's called Old People. Old people, those strange and faraway relatives who turned up at your house now and then. Old people, with their wrinkly faces and wrinkly hands, funny old clothes and silver grey hair. Old people, always moaning about the terrible weather, always complaining about their aches and pains. Old people, always saying the same stupid things. Hasn't she grown? Back in my day, I remember when. Old people, kind-hearted and generous to a fault, with a lifetime of stories to tell. Old people, you never ever think you'll be one, but we all get there in the end.
That was really lovely, Val. Thank you very much. Great piece. George, what have you got for us?
Yeah, I was actually, Roz had said about political poems, and I was going to do something, but other things have come up. But I'm going to put in a quick plug for a thing out at the moment. The Fish Rots from the Head is a book out, and I think it's, I can't remember, I think there's almost 100 poems in it, and it's about the state of government, etc. It was very much a very quick call-out thing where we had to respond within about 5 days to the chat. Culture Matters, I think, is the publisher. It should be available in various places, but there's a number of people ranting against the state of the government. And I'm just thinking about the other night, I don't know if you saw it with Liz Truss trying to tell the Russians they had to remove Russian soldiers from Russian soil because Britain would never, ever accept them being there. God almighty, you know. But never mind. Sorry, the curlew thing actually twigged the memory with me, and I've had this sitting behind me. It's my new pamphlet, so I can't resist pulling it off the shelf behind me, because I actually have a poem in it about a curlew, although it's a tenuous connection, for which apologies, but not apologies for the poem, I hope. So this is for the silent curlew of my beach. Are you a harbinger of storm, grey feathered in this March morning, on the beach behind the waterside to tell I am alone with you? 10 pink roses which I think match our wedding flowers, and who is to tell me otherwise? Purple red astromeria for contrast peep from my bag for life. Why do you not call as I approach, nor pick among the debris of winter tides, stand watchful, waiting? And I have hopes which rise and fly with you on reluctant wings over receding waves, over the rock where I will scatter blooms, wonder why I will talk to rock, and if you came. Thanks.
Thank you, George. Excellent. So what's that pamphlet called then, George?
Clyde, My River, which is available for pre-order because it's not actually been launched yet, but I mean, I have the copies of it. They're all available from Cinnamon Press, or if anyone was really anxious, they could always contact me, but it's available now. But it's about the River Clyde in theory, but it's actually about the journey from Source to Ailsa Craig, which is made up of memory and various things. So I find it difficult to describe exactly what it is. They probably said something better in the back than that was, but never mind. But the curlew was just so, it was one of those things. And again, as Peter was saying, it was one of those things, so there was just this single curlew on the beach, which was just so striking for me. And it was also because it was totally silent and just standing there. It wasn't, and then it just flew off anyway. It was a great image, but I couldn't pass it by for what I was thinking about. Yeah, that's great. Anyway, thanks everyone.
Well, thank you, George. That's great. We'll check out the collection. Or maybe you can bring some with you if you're able to venture down for Andy Hopkins' Poetry Symposium on the 20th.
I'm hoping to manage down sometime, because I feel that the poets that are here have made me so welcome. And as you know, I managed to pop in an occasion, Phil, but I think it's only been twice I've managed down. But then COVID has interfered. And sometimes I actually think I should move from Glasgow down to around the Carlisle area. Are your houses cheaper down there, though?
They might be after tonight, and there's no roofs on half of them. Thank you, George. Lovely. Janetto, hello.
Hello. Right, I may have read this before, I can't remember. And then, funny enough, it's called Unforgettable. It's a short 53-word story. He rocks by the window, watches rain slip down the pane. There's nothing else, his reflection blurred a long time ago. Standing beside him, she lets the stars fall, hums the tune, sings the words, offers a hand. Shall we? And while they dance to their song, he's fluid in the present.
You're getting
Thank
really good at these 50-word stories. They're great.
Oh, well, I've got to say, I did win a prize for that one. So I was quite chuffed.
Fantastic. Well done.
Thank you. It hasn't come yet, but...
Is that the Scottish Book Trust things, Jeanette?
I have entered a couple of those. This one was for press 53.
What did
Do you
you
still do the 50 words one for Scottish Book Trust, John?
I haven't done it in a long time, but I mean, it's an interesting prompt if anyone's interested in it. If you look up Scottish Book Trust, they put out one every month, isn't it, Janetta?
Yeah, I think it's a picture of blankets at the moment.
And what was that 53 word? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, that's
53 word.
Yeah, that's press 53.
Press 50.
I think they're based in America, but they take entries all over the world. And it's free to enter.
Cool. Maybe they're putting. Is it a big prize? Maybe they're trying to find a box big enough to put the prize in.
I think it's book.
Oh.
But it's just nice to get the recognition.
Fantastic. Prize winning author.
Thank
you. Okay. And we've got Roz. What have you got for us this time, Roz?
Yeah, I just want to say how brilliant everybody is all the time doing things. It just blows me away. Anyway, I'm going to show you how unromantic I am now when I wrote down my first love, and this is from, oh goodness me, August 19. Not when I fell in love. When I first fell in love, it was like a physical force. It hit me. I remember the butterflies, the excitement. Like a puppy, I trailed the object of my desire, faithful and loyal, committed. I would have thrown myself under a bus if he asked me to. Luckily, he didn't. 6 weeks later, I suffered my first broken heart. It hurt me. I remember the pain of rejection, the anguish. The loss of this love seemed unbearable, lonely and miserable. I cried. I filled my empty word with pitiful tears. Then I got over it. That was my experience of love.
Oh, that was a great little poem. Thank you very much, Roz. Yes, you're absolutely right. It's been wonderful stuff tonight, and thank you all for sharing. I've just got one more piece, and then we'll maybe draw things to a close. But it's been really lovely. Thank you all for coming along. And this poem is sort of about that, really. It sort of picks up on a number of the things that have been mentioned tonight, actually, which is a bit spooky. It's called "It's Always Better When You're There." If a tree falls in a forest and there's no one there to hear it hit the ground, does it make a sound? If a poet speaks their words aloud and there's no one there to hear it, does it make it poetry? Or just a rambling babble of consciousness uttered into the wind, lost in eternity? Like a leaf swept uncaringly along a ferocious muddy river out towards an endless raging sea. It's always better when you're there, listening. Whether you like or dislike the sentiment expressed, or wince at imperatives split, you give the words what they need, an audience. These words are an expression of thoughts, a masterfully constructed appreciation of life, the world, of concepts of right and wrong, or blunt and plain speaking, eloquently distilled to a matter of syllables, pointing out injustice, championing the underdog, upholding fairness, liberty, and freedom. But in a world of endless words and noise, who is listening? Without an audience, our words are somehow neglected, overlooked, unheard or read. But words shall come alive in the ear of the beholder. After all, it's always better when you're there. There you are. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you all. Thank you all. Give yourselves a round of applause for everyone who read this evening, and everyone who listened, everyone who disappeared before the end, and everyone who stayed to the end. And yeah, excellent stuff from everybody. Thank you all. And we'll do it again next month, yeah? And there's a real life, in-person speakeasy at the Source in Carlisle next week as well. So if you're feeling brave and have got a clear test and want to come along, see some of the scoundrels from SpeakEasy back in the day, will be there. As disreputable poets always seem to flock to the Source and other places to share our crazy words. But yeah, maybe see you there. Or as I say, we'll see you again next time on Zoom. Or there's Poets Out Loud on the second Wednesday of the month in Cockermouth as well. So there's plenty of things going again, up and running again. So we'll see you soon.
Phil, where is the Source?
The Source is in Denton Home in Carlisle.
Okay.
I can send you a postcode and
Where? Sorry,
the location.
say that again.
I can. Where's the Source?
Yeah.
It's in Denton Home in Carlisle near Dixon's Chimney. But I can send out a postcode and a location to people if you'll. I'm sensing you might be wanting to come along, so I'll email out directions. It's up.
Wild to Carlisle. Oh.
Yeah, the metropolis that is Carlisle. But yeah, maybe see you on next week. Take care. Stay safe in this bad weather, and yeah, I'll see you again soon. Excellent stuff tonight,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Really good.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you all.
Yeah,
Take care.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. That was a fantastic night. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.